This is a Blairing Out with Eric Blair show. We're here at the 2013 Namm with Jon Dette, drummer extraordinaire for Slayer, Animetal, and now you're touring with Anthrax. Tell me how this came to be.
Well, actually, Jason Bittner from Shadows Fall, who was filling in for Charlie this last Anthrax run last year, couldn't do one of the tours that was coming up, and called me, asked me if I would be available to do it, and I said, of course. I mean, it would be great. And the next day, Charlie called me, and which Charlie's one of my biggest influences ever, next to Lombardo. So it was kind of a surreal moment for me to get a call like that saying, hey, can you help me out? Which, of course, I said absolutely. So, yeah, I just went and did the Europe tour with Anthrax, Motorhead, and now I'm getting ready to actually head out to India and Australia with them in February and March. So,
and you're going to be playing some huge festivals with Slayer and Metallica?
Yeah, it's the Soundwave Festival, and I think it's Metallica, Slayer, Linkin Park, Blink-182, Stone Sour, Perfect Circle, bands like that, and of course Anthrax.
Jon, what's it like for you to be behind the drums and be on stage with Anthrax? All that power.
Oh, it's amazing, man. I mean, you know, it's the first day that I started playing drums. A lot of people, you know, may or may not know this, but the first album I ever got from the day I got my drum set was Fistful of Metal. And literally the first song I ever tried playing on drums was Metal Thrashing Mad. Literally. I'm hanging with Charlie. I told him that this morning. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, really. Anthrax, Metallica, Slayer, they were such a foundation of my style growing up. And so to actually, you know, I've been privileged now to actually play for two of those bands. But it's a very natural thing for me to play, but at the same time, it's, you know, seeing the back of their heads on stage. Yeah. You know, Joey.
Plus the songs.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You're into the songs, and you're like, I'm playing the songs, and then here's that bass part, right?
Exactly. You know, and Joey's looking at me and he's singing, and I'm just like, this is great. You know, I mean, I guess you could say that I play with a lot of passion when I'm with those bands, because it's absolutely passion and just an amazing experience.
What did Charlie say to you when he called you?
He said,
when you first got the gig.
Honestly, he called me up and he said, hey, I spoke to Jay, and he mentioned that you'd be available to do this. I'd really appreciate it. You know, he's been just such a great guy. You know, Charlie's just such an amazing person as well as a drummer. And you know, basically, it was in a nutshell, it's like a friend asking a new friend for a favor. So, and again, I you know, was like, hey, Jon, could you help me? Yes. You know, absolutely. So, such an honor and a privilege.
Tell me what's going on with Animetal.
Well, Animetal is actually getting ready to do a new record and do some touring later on this year. So I would expect to see a new record out with them probably near the summer, and then some tour plans later in the fall, late summer, fall.
How long do you think the Anthrax gig's going to last?
As a friend, I will say I hope it doesn't last much longer, because Charlie, you know, Charlie's the drummer for Anthrax. Nobody can ever replace that. You know, I could never even think to me like any sort of drummer to replace a guy like Charlie. He's just irreplaceable. I can only hope to be the perfect replacement. But you know, I hope that his you know, his situation gets resolved soon, and he's doing everything he can to obviously get it so he can get back as soon as possible. So we'll see, though. I honestly I don't know.
Jon, tell me about how you got the call to be in Slayer.
Well, I was playing drums for Testament at the time, and actually my attorney was also Slayer's attorney, and I had got a call from actually a crew member in the Slayer camp that said, you know, Bostaph just left, and you should try out. So I asked my attorney, and you know, long story short, he put us in touch together, and I went down and auditioned, and it felt, you know, again, Slayer is one of those bands I've been playing forever, and so it's so natural, and I think we really felt that when we were in the room together, and I think, you know, we rehearsed for 2 days, and it just felt right. And they asked me to join the band at the end of the rehearsal the second night.
What did you take away from that experience with Slayer?
Well, I mean, so many things. I mean, one, it's like my first experience to play with one of my true idol bands, and again, to temporarily replace Dave Lombardo, basically, even though I was replacing Paul, Paul's an amazing drummer in his own right. But so many business things that I got to learn, so many just the music business in general, you know, good and bad. And but I mean, again, just to have the opportunity to play for one of my all-time favorite bands and see the back of their heads every night. You know, people would ask like, well, was there anything bad about playing for Slayer? And I would say, yeah. Every time I go to a Slayer show, I have to look at the back of their heads now. I can't enjoy the show anymore because I would always be at Slayer shows, you know, rocking out. So, but. You know, I'd like to think I did it justice at the time I was at the band, and you know, it was just an amazing experience.
This is the Blurring Out with Eric Blair show at the 2013 Namm with Jon Dette signing off.
The Blurring Out show.